maybe want to turn back the clock again.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about Florida and your adventures here another time.
Right, and I have a picture here. It's undated.
I'm going to check out the album and see what pictures are in there. There's maybe some particularly good ones.
I don't remember what camp this was, but it was at a camp. We had had reverses. Dad had lost his business.
I think that's you as a child.
Yes, I would. Well, I wasn't old when I became a counselor at camp. I was 20-some-odd years old.
Well, but
You think I look younger here?
Yes. Is that you with your brother and sister?
My brother and sister. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So, how old is your mom looking? Well, I guess you could judge.
Teenager,
Yeah,
probably.
Roy looks how old in that?
He looks 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So.
So that would be around 1930?
No, it'd be after that.
Wait a minute. Roy, I was born 1919. Violet was born 5.5 years later, which would be 1920.
4 or 5. I don't know what month she was born.
And Roy 2.5 years later. So Roy would have been.
It's 32, 33.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
1932 or 33. Let me just hold it up where the camera can see it for one moment, and then we'll scan it in later. I just want to have the identification of the picture.
That's fine. And then here's a picture. I think that's Roy and Violet. That's probably the nicest picture.
Yeah.
Beautiful picture.
Yeah. It's a lovely picture.
And there's a number on the back of it. What does it say?
61.
Okay. It's just for identification.
You know, I try to mark all the pictures we get, but sometimes we get 30 pictures at one time.
I know.
So I do some of them, and yeah.
What I will do is I will scan some of these pictures.
Yeah.
And then mix those still pictures in with the video when I do the editing.
Okay. I'm sure you'll do a magnificent job. You always do.
We'll see what happens.
You know, this is an old picture.
Take the pages out of the album.
John will put this together. I think this is your father, Emil.
Yes, this is my father, Emil. Emil Post.
Yes.
Date? Oh, no. Oh, somebody not. Yeah. He was a very handsome man.
He certainly was.
Well, that's where we get good looks from. My mother, who was a beautiful woman, and my father was a
And
handsome.
it says Bertha and a friend, Hannah.
That I wouldn't know. I don't know. Oh, this was long before my time. But look at how those girls look. Aren't they beautiful?
Yes. Now turn it over. This is Bertha and Gladys.
Yeah.
1920.
Yeah, well, I was a year old, or a year and a half old. I'm wearing shoes, so I guess I must have been a year and a half.
And then it says August 1923.
You know, I don't remember these pictures. Yeah, this is me outside Corbin Place, where our first apartment in Manhattan Beach, and with a doll carriage and a tennis racket. And this was also in that same house. And I shouldn't say the same house, because we had a corner apartment originally, and then we moved into one of the courts. It was a little larger. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. The rooms were larger. So this, I think, was the second house we lived in, Corbin Place.
Okay, and then on the other side, there's a picture of you and your mom in 1924 in winter coats and you on the beach.
This was taken in Lakewood. And that coat was made for me. And it has squirrel collar and cuffs. And I'm about 5 years old, 5.5 or so. Maybe I'm less, I don't know. 1924. Violet wasn't born yet. So I guess I'm under 5.5. And this is on the beach, Manhattan Beach. You see, this is where the court was.
The court?
It was called Corbin Place, I should say. And this was 2 windows from one apartment, and this was 2 windows from another. They were squares, and then we shared a backyard. It was a square backyard.
So that was your house, that's where you were living?
Well, one of the houses. I don't know whether that was the actual house, but this was in Manhattan Beach.
Okay. And here's some more beach pictures.
I don't even remember these. That's my mother and me. Yeah.
Why don't you turn it up?
Bathing beauties?
Yes.
Oh, and this was my mother's 3 friends.
Well, we have names of some of them.
Okay. Ruth, Stella, Molly. Molly is the one who had the niece in that other picture. This was Stella. This was Molly.
Molly's on the left,
Yeah.
and then Stella.
No, Stella's the 3rd one. And I don't. This one might be Ruth. This one I don't remember.
Okay, is your mother in that picture?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, these were her 4 friends.
Okay. And then we have some here that look like about 1925
Yeah,
with your father.
yeah, yeah. I must tell you, I remember this dress. My father made her, designers made her the most gorgeous clothes. This was a white dress, and this is almost orange, but not a sharp orange, a very soft embroidery across here, and it came with an orange jacket that was lined with this fabric. It was a gorgeous outfit. And there am I in another one of my skirts.
What kind of work did your father do?
He was a dress manufacturer. He had his own business.
Your father does not look overweight here. He looks like a slender man. I remember you telling me that.
I don't remember him being a heavy man, but he had heart problems. He had. People have it now. Someone, not heart problems. What's the other? High blood pressure. That was his big. His mother fed him. She had a store, so she fed him from a little burner in the back of the store that had a frying pan. So everything she cooked for him was fried in chicken fat, which they used to make, and he had very big digestive problems, and that's what killed him.
Do you remember the cause of his death?
Yeah, he had a stroke. And I never saw him when he had the stroke. He was in the hospital, and then he had another stroke, and he was gone within a week. He worked so hard. He used to leave the house like 5 o'clock in the morning and come home at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and they'd have dinner then, and worked on a Saturday. And when I was older, he would take me on a Saturday because he didn't work a whole day on Saturday. But all the places were open those days on Saturday. And I don't know whether I ever told you. He worked on 38th Street. That's where his factory was, building his office too. And there was a Schrafft's, either on that street or the street before, I don't remember exactly. But all the men that worked there had 2 huge round tables and would have breakfast. And when I went there, he took me for breakfast there, and of course all the men made a fuss over me, as I'm sure they did of the other children. And Schrafft's at that time used to serve everything on doilies like this, that looked like they had embroidery on them, and you could tear them, and I used to love to tear all the doilies.
Yeah.
Memories I haven't had in a long time.
Here's one that says Gladys and Violet, 1927.
Well, she was about 3 years old then.
Bathing suits.
Yeah, that was at one of the hotels we went to. She was a pretty cute kid. And I was getting chubby at that point.
Right, okay, here's another picture. Looks 1933, 1930.
This is the same one as the other bigger snapshot you have.
Right.
And I see a building here. But there I was wearing a midi blouse with a tie. And the kids were too, so I guess that was on vacation, but this was the same kind of clothing we wore in the summertime. I don't remember where that is. 1930. So I was 10 and a half or 11 years. 10 and 11. And the three of us, me, Violet, and Roy.
And then here's one that says August of 44.
Yeah.
You stretched out on
Well,
grass.
the war was on at that time. And I was working in the Empire State Building, and I was running an underwear place. The man who owned the place had a factory on the Lower East Side, and he was a cripple because he had run away from home and jumped out of a second-story window. And he never had much of an education, but he was a smart man, very, very well-to-do from his business. But he was not good with people. And when I got the job in the Empire State Building, there was a young man who was running it, and then he was called into the Army, and I'd been there a year and a half. So I was made the boss of the factory, and I had a secretary. And this was taken at that time at my friend Rona's house, who lived in Long Island.
You look very glamorous.
Yes, you do.
That was why I was posed that way.
Well, here's some more from
It's
about
probably why you
that
had so
time.
many dates.
Oh, God, I had a lot of them. I was a pretty nice young woman. Boys liked me. Yeah, here's another one. This, I think, was taken while at the time I was working at the Empire State Building. Yeah, this is Bertha and Violet. It is.
Yes.
Who wrote all that? You? Amy?
Jonquil did it.
Oh.
And here's another one of Roy and Violet.
How did she know who they were?
I don't know.
She probably got some help from her mom.
I don't think this is Roy. I think this is
Oh,
Conrad.
maybe you're right. Let me see.
That's Conrad.
You're right. You're right. It is Conrad.
Oh, we should send him a copy of that.
Sure.
Jane, you want a pen?
No. No.
They started to go together in the 8th grade elementary school.
Sure, you want a picture of Dad.
Oh, yeah. There's some pictures of Dad.
You recognize that guy?
Yeah.
That must bring back some memories.
Well, he was much younger then. I didn't know him at that time.
Look on the other side.
Yeah, well, here he is now.
That's-
But
That's the
I
man
didn't
you-
meet him when this picture was taken. It was after the picture was taken.
Right, he was a captain.
Yeah. At Knox, yeah. And this is not a good picture of him. The mouth is bad here. He was a very, very handsome guy.
Okay, well, I
Okay, so
think we're going to stop for now.
Okay.
We'll have many more stories.
Yes,
next
thank
time.
you. That was... So, Mom, tell me some about the war years. What did you do during World War II?
Well,
You don't need to answer. We're just...
No, it's fine, let her answer then, or you can talk about Rose Solomon, it doesn't matter. I'm not
Doesn't
gonna use
matter.
the sound
Oh,
effects.
what did I do during the war? I worked.
When did you... you spent a year in college down in Virginia, is that right?
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me a story once about taking an art history class.
I was a fine arts major. And they were building a new fine arts building. Leslie Cheek was ahead of it. And Leslie Cheek was the inheritor of Maxwell House Coffee. And he had gone to Yale, I think it was, with some friends. And he brought 3 of his friends down, and one was sculpture, and one was painting, and I don't remember what the others were, and he was the head. And it was an old building. All the buildings down there were, because William and Mary was one of the really old schools. And they were remodeling it to make a very